I mean, come on, this guy's like 8.5 feet tall. No, he's not that tall, but he's huge. He's massive, and he has a bone and body structure that you don't see this in India. And so it's like, who is this guy, right? Is he of this ancient lineage? On the other side of the scale, we have the hominoid Phalaensius, which are these hobbit creatures in Jakarta and Jakarta, sorry, Bali, Indonesia, these areas. We find them there, and the question is, who are these people, and who are they related to? And we don't really find a lot of their heritage stretching across any other lineages. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a bear tooth. I'm sorry, no, just kidding.
It's the first time I've seen it.
Tooth molar difference, like that's a giant.
Yeah.
And then these, I believe, are all from Montana, mostly the different dolems, as well as some of the faces that will be coming up. Oh, this one, Peru. So this is the actual mountain in Peru. Angles looking like faces. That kind of looks like some skulls.
Well, yeah, we talked about when you go to Machu Picchu, and we got to pronounce it right because it has two meanings. One is the old man of the mountain, and the other one is the old man's phallus. But it's how you pronounce it. If you look at it sideways, you have a face. There's definitely a face there from the upper gate. It's incredibly fascinating. And we talked about this in the last show we did. Wait, go back. Who's that sitting next to that bone?
Right? Couple randoms in the catalog. Who is that? I don't know. Big
so there's a lot of things that could be there's pareidolia where we see faces and figures and everything, but there is something to it. We do see this in a lot of places that it is legit. And it's like, oh, they actually were sculpting out of the mountain.
Like that one kind of looks like carved dinosaur, maybe, or reptile or something. That kind of looks like a face sideways. Could be carved.
Interesting.
Two faces in the background.
Well, and then we go to somewhere like Costa Rica, and we have these giant heads, these Olmec heads, and it's like, well, okay. So here we are actually carving out of massive stone to represent, humanic features or features in general. So what is that all about? And so we're either doing this in a large scale, like we're possibly seeing here, or we're doing this in a small scale, or both. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, they can. They're more than capable of it. There's a guy that dug through a mountain by himself somewhere in Asia. I can't remember where it was, but he dug through an entire mountain by himself because his wife fell off of it. And
what?
He's honored with he's on a coin or something now. I can't remember the full story, but yeah, he ended up digging through the entire mountain and made it easier for the entire village to get to another area that was cut off because of this mountain. It's an insane story, but I'll be right back.
I think I actually remember hearing about that, somewhere in the Chinese mountains or something in Vietnam.
Okay, so stop here, right here. So here you see these scoop marks. Go back.
Back. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, to the scoop marks. You've just been flying through these. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
There's a bit of delay on my end.
Come on.
I think it's all on Burn.
Of course my computer freezes. No,
no, there were these scoop marks. It might be forward of this one.
Oh, there we go. Scoop marks. Here you go.
Yeah. Okay. So you see this at the Aswan Quarry. You see this at the unfinished obelisk, and we're told that these slaves had bashing stones and were standing in a space that was a meter wide or less next to their buddies trying to bash out rock in front of them. This isn't going to work for very long for anybody at all. At the end of the Aswan Quarry, you have these 3 to 9 meter deep pits. that looked like they were square tubes that were rotated in the ground, at a high velocity to go down. And they would pull out these cores so they could see where the actual ground mass of the granite was and if there were any imperfections in it. And so the unfinished obelisk sits there and it has a crack underneath it, which is why they left it in situ so everybody could see how this was made. How did they move this to the river? You would have to remove all the material that's like 3 obelisks wide to the right of it to get it down to the next level to get it out to the river. It's unbelievable. And then you have Zahi Was in his video at the museum going, they were drinking beer. They were happy slaves. No, they weren't. And they're bashing this stuff out from underneath until it was like this little tiny spindle. And then they would crack it over, and I'm like, it would have fallen on those slaves long before that. And then how, again, are you lifting it and moving it out of this trough? And so in the secondary unfinished obelisk, which is further toward the Nile, above this, it's a smaller specimen, but you can see this scoop mark that looks a lot like this one, where it cuts back up and under. And so this is an undercut, right? That's what that looks like. It's like a scoop undercut, and it's in a precision sectioning. And this is what you see at the other unfinished obelisk at Aswan. Is this? It comes down the sidewall. It's a little over a foot wide, this scoop mark, and it comes down, and then it comes up and cuts, and then comes back out. That's like, who's sitting under there, bashing it? You can't even imagine somebody actually doing this. And when you see the stone that's sitting there and the diorite bashing balls, my friend Yusuf, who runs a lot of these too, his father was Hakim Iwan, this famous guy. Have you ever watched the Pyramid Code? Abdel Hakim Iwan is like amazing. He's an indigenous speaker.
Chemists, right? He
talks a lot about chem. A lot of this came down through his lineage, the Suf lineage. And so he would talk about this, and he took tours to Aswan in the 70s. And this stone, as Yusuf said, has only dented about an inch since the 70s of every tourist trying to bash down on it every day. And so you're like, this is not what they're doing. They have a plow rate of some sort of mechanical tool that is plowing through a lot of this stuff, either through a scoop mechanism or a saw mechanism, which you see in a lot of other sites. And the plow rate, according to Christopher Dunn, is like 1,500 or 15,000 revolutions per minute, per second, which is insane. It's higher than anything we do at our cores. Our cores are like a third of that because we figured out enough water, enough pressure, and then we add, silt or other things. We can plow through this at a much more efficient rate and use less energy. But they were plowing through this at such a high rate that it would vitrifies a lot of what you see in the cut marks. And we're still being told this is, copper saws and sand. Yeah, you can cut through granite with copper saw and sand. I've seen somebody cut through it an inch over the course of half a year. So let's be realistic here. This stuff is going a lot faster than that. And so seeing something like this is like, oh my God, this is, uniform scoop marks. They're in cuts, kind of like what you see in Aswan. Anyway.
Yeah,
very good point.
The idea that they didn't have the technology to do this stuff is unbelievable. Like, it's just ridiculous because, they talk about in the oldest sources building canals that are massive, even one from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean long before the...
Right, yeah.
So, like, if they're building this type of stuff, they clearly came up with some sort of machinery to help them out. And think about the Archimedes screw, for example. Very ancient technology. I don't know, just some examples.
Absolutely. If this is in fact an eagle or a hawk, representation that it looks like it is, and that it's an actual amphitheater, that they were terraforming mountains for heck's sake on some of the past civilizations. But this is also in Montana. All of these pictures are from the Montana megaliths discovered by Julie Ryder. And the what Hans was just talking about with the scoop marks in a couple of those pictures of these sites that Wandering Wolf Productions, Mike, you have an interview coming up with him in April, but he's been there and he actually took several photos of the Sage Wall site that also have these rocks with the scoop marks alongside it, just adjacent to Sage Wall itself. But
if I can share, I'll show you some of these. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let me go to the Oswan Corey here section of my interview. Sorry, I was doing a record earlier, so there's like the recorded stuff in the lower right. Hold on a second. Present.
Sorry, Shem, I just saw that you had something up.
Oh yeah, this is just that guy that dug through the mountain. So this is him. And this is what he dug with a hammer and chisel all by himself. So this used to connect at the top, apparently.
So proving it can be done by one person in one lifetime with just a hammer, chisel, and determination.
It depends on the material that they're cutting through, obviously. Yeah.
Good call.
It's a quartzite ridge.
Quartzite? That's pretty hard.
Yeah, he got honored.
Yes, and no,
honored for doing this. He's got a stamp. Yeah, pretty cool.
This guy is from India. Good man. Let me see if I can present here.
Those cooking videos are hilarious that are going around social media right now. The Indian cooking videos, they make me laugh. It's like people serving food with their hands and stuff, and everyone in the comments is just going crazy. It's hilarious.
Like that. That's funny. You do not pass the health codes. So here's one in the Montana Megaliths, and then a second one as well. That there's lots of them throughout the site with these scoop marks, and that they appear all over the world.
Yeah, I found these. Hold on, here it is.
Got to share. Bring up. Oh, there we go.
I can't see what you're looking at, so flip to the other screen.
Oh, perfect timing, Mr. Hans. Look at that. Right, so this
is the Oswan Quarry, and these are like just strange scenarios. And so then you go to the unfinished obelisk, and this is a meter wide, right? And you have these weird scoop marks again. We're told that people with bashing stones, like my friend Jason in the middle, this bashing stone is up on the left here. You can kind of see it where all these people are on the left. But yeah, he's sitting there going dunk, 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 and yeah, he's not making a dent. And then at the second unfinished obelisk here on the right, that's up near the tower on the left. If you see that building on the left, you can kind of see it's closer in. So it's up and over the hill. And you see these scoop marks come down and cut up underneath. Are you serious? What is doing that? And so here we are again. It's like, oh, we're told that bashing stones cut out this perfect wedge out of this block here. And again, all this would have needed to be removed, like everything to the right of this obelisk over the hill would have needed to be removed, and all of this to get to the port in order for it to be floated away. And let's talk about the port. So you have a flotation raft that possibly could cart a 1,200 ton block of granite like the unfinished obelisk during the high tide season. But let's be realistic. When you put something unevenly on something that's not weighted correctly, you have a buoyancy effect, right? And so it's going to topple whatever's on that raft into the water, especially at those weights. Interestingly, when they dredged the Nile for building the Aswan Dam, just up or downriver, upriver from Aswan toward Ethiopia, they didn't find any blocks at the bottom of the river. nor up the Nile anywhere. And so the question is, how are they moving these stones? Because, you know, you have this 1,200 ton
Yeah.
obelisk unfinished. The reason why it's unfinished is they found a crack underneath it, and so they just left it in situ. It's like, well, we can't do anything about it. Maybe we'll cut it down, but you find this all over Egypt. You find these sites that are unfinished, and it's like something happened at a specific period of time where everybody just abandoned their post and left. And you've got to wonder what it was. So,
Bronze Age collapse. I'm just kidding. 1 second.
oh, for sure. But you go into the Cairo Museum, and in the left corner, like right around the corner when you walk in, are these boxes. And this box is interesting because the lid has been broken off. And you have two saw marks, one top, one bottom, that are plowing in at a high rate, and they slipped. And whoever was managing this machine stopped it before it finished. And so you have an upper and bottom, cut mark, and it's at a vortices or an angle, and it also has vitrified the stone material of the rose granite around it. And so you're just like, well, wait a second. If this is somebody using a saw and sand and water, they would have figured out that they were off track long before this. This is something that's moving at a very high rate because it's vitrifying. You can see in the left picture the
It had to
vitrification.
have an extremely high rate of heat or friction.
Oh my God, it's like moving at massive speeds. And so what is doing this? And so they would build these boxes like this. They would take the bottom of the box, and that would become the lid. And you see this at the Serapeum. All the boxes in the Serapeum are all one piece of the same, black diorite. And so it's really fascinating what you see here. Then you get into something like this. On the left, you have these amazing precision cuts. I guess I skipped over a little bit of what Christopher Dunn was doing with the head of Tutmosis III, or if it's Ramses. And he would show all these amazing radiuses that you just can't do this with human hand. This is what a CNC machine does with, you program in how you want to cut it, and it cuts this way. And so we're looking at like this insane precision that we don't have the ability of this. And even here in Luxor, the Germans rebuilt this site and they cemented this block together. But in the past, this thing fell over and broke, and they fixed it with either metal plates that went in this. That's about a foot wide. Or stone, and as you can see, it goes all the way up the back of this sculpture and along the arm. And so in the ancient past, this was fixed. And then when they rebuilt Luxor is an interesting site because it was literally buried underneath a mosque as a helm. It was a mound, basically. Where's my Luxor picture? Damn it. Oh, it's the one before this, yeah. So the picture on the right is the mosque above the temple site of Luxor. And so this was a dirt mound on the side of the Nile River. And they built this mosque, 500-600 years ago, and all of a sudden started finding these pillars. And I mean, Luxor is an extension. This is Luxor, the statue on the right here. Let me remove this. Double layer. The statue on the right here is the one with all the broken pieces on it that they rebuilt. And this was all buried under a dirt mound. And we're told that, from the ancient dynasties, the Nile Valley was always occupied, and so was Egypt. And so if this was always occupied, how are you digging this stuff up under a quote-unquote mud flood or mound and claiming that it belongs to a specific time period? It's mind-boggling to me that if this whole area was continually occupied, so would all have these sites been. And so they keep finding stuff under the earth and going, oh, this is now vaunted to XYZ time period. And it's like, really? I'm not convinced about that, because if this has been occupied for the last 5,000-6,000 years, as we're told the Egyptian old dynasty, new dynasty, old kingdom, new kingdom time period was, this all should have been above ground. This would have been occupied during these periods.
Right? Good point. And so much of the stuff that we're told has been recently occupied is buried way too deep. And then carbon dating, I know if Shem's here, he's done a lot of digging and found so many examples of dates and just inaccuracies in it. And that recently Bob Grenier at the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project and their thunderstorm generator device has had and been producing anomalous carbon-14 that's supposedly 30,000 years old on it. So it's like there's another example of carbon dating being completely off, or somehow carbon being able to be magically time traveling potentially in plasma, if not, right? Like, who knows? It's weird stuff, but it doesn't seem accurate.
Is there a carbon element to plasmas? This is a good question. So you like I have a Tesla coil like you have in your background there. Yeah, I have one that's like a lava lamp. It's awesome. Yours is like one color. That's really interesting. I'm not sure how that's happening. Mine is like the multicolor spectrum, but the second I put my hand to it, the blue plasma is the one that attracts to it. And so these plasma energies are, super amazing on these levels. So yeah, anyway,
right. Well, carbon and plasma, it's like flame, fire. Yeah. When you burn stuff, correct, everything turns to carbon. So yes, plasma flame is plasma, and that there is this transmutation of elements through.
But there's not a carbon element to plasma. That's where I was going with that. Right? Like that's the weird part about plasma fire. Right? It's the secret fire of the Alchemist, right? It's the plasma. And they're like, oh yes.
I've heard about the Alchemist calling water fire.
Interesting.
Well, water in essence can be a plasma as well, right?
Yeah, true. 100%.
Yeah, some of the sources I was reading were talking about the Alchemist fire being water, like just because it heats a different way than burning it, I guess, was the reasoning behind that. Just like an entirely different technique.
I don't want to get controversial.
I interpret that it also being fire in that manner that it absorbs and eats all like elements and dissolves into it too in some ways, like it's burning metals or burning elements into the solution or the flame.
Yes.
Oh, did you guys have anything Elkman that you wanted to share, or Shem, you guys each had some stuff?
Yeah, we can start with Elkman.
I love your background, Elkman. That's key. I've stayed at a friend's apartment once upon a time in my life in Washington D.C. that kind of looked like that. That was
well, any cave that you go exploring, entrance is going to be like that too, right? Like if you go caving,
will it not let me share it with you, Bernie?
It should. It's not popping up. Weird.
Browser can't access your screen.
Huh. That's a first.
Love to be with lazy.
Weird.
1 second.
You can just send me the link if you want.
Sure. Or is it not appearing on mine? What the heck? Are you trying to share something?
1 second. I'll try once again, then give up on this. It's just something on Google Earth. I don't know why it wouldn't let me share it with you though.
I don't want us to see it.
Come on, Gemini. Good old AI. Let us share. There we go.
There we are. Wow.
Oh,
I haven't gone on Google Earth in a while. It's a lot more sharp than it used to be. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm on a massive monitor right now, so that's why I wanted to bring this up, because you can see stuff that you don't usually get to see.
Brilliant. Holy smokes.
I like it.
So
Wow. The wound north of Greenland. What's just going on there?
it only works in Pro.
What?
But basically, it only works in Pro, but you can kind of see it happening right here. Like if you look right here. So this is essentially where the North Pole technically should be.
I was looking at the pareidolia of the side profile of the human face. Sorry about that. Now I see what you're looking at. There is definitely a vortex of energy there, and God, I should pull that.
Here. So this, if you look at this on Google Earth Pro and you zoom in, I wish I could fucking share it. I don't know why it won't let me.
I have pictures of all the planets in our galaxy
center point
that have
and a bunch of rays coming out from it, as if it's photo stitched together from a center point. But why would they ever need to do that? Why wouldn't they just fly right over the North Pole and take a picture so they don't have all these?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's been. Yeah, it's that vertical line. Yeah, you just zoomed out. But interesting. Hello, what's that? Nothing. Tra-la.
So that was just something I was thinking about. But you can't. It's not as like prevalent in this one. But if you go on Google Earth Pro, it's like in your face. Like it looks like an octagon of rays all bent out from here.
So all of the planets in our solar system have this aspect. I have photos of all the North Poles of all the planets, and they all have this weird hexagonal
vortex
energy vortex anomaly. All of them, even Pluto, which is just like what?
But what I'm suggesting is it's not real. It's just photos stitched together from that as a center point.
Yeah.
Or else they could just take a picture
for this. Yeah, no.
Think of the Earth as a globe on two axes, but a camera can go over it at any angle and take that picture, so it wouldn't have all those stitch points. That's all I was suggesting. Is it was just something to think about.
For sure.
And maybe what you're saying has 100% to do with it. Maybe you can't fly over that, so they have to stitch it all together at that point.
Right.
Or what would they see from satellite technology? Just like bright light. There's no texture. Or
it's just the only spot on Google Earth where it all is stitched together in a vortex like that, like in a center point. It's just
can you zoom down in further? Like, will it give us any actual real pictures, or it just shows more?
I'll just take a screenshot of it on Google Earth Pro and then bring that up, because it's crazy on it.
Look at that on my own Google Earth. Wow.
And then, has anyone seen recently? I don't know if it's true or fake or just like an edited video, but there's one that like seems to depict someone on Google Earth like going into Antarctica and then like zooming in, and there's like a straight up city down there or something.
I haven't seen that.
There's definitely photos of ancient structure, far destroyed, that has come up legit or not sure, but I've definitely seen a photo of this.
So just share the whole screen.
Bigger.
So as you see here, there's all these rays. Can you guys see that better in this one?
Yes.
Oh yeah. More.
The focal point of it, yeah. All rotating from around it. Oh, definitely now. Now I see it. Look at that.
I'm keeping zooming and zooming and zooming. It can just go on forever. But what I'm suggesting is like there's no way that there's ever a need for this, because they could just fly the drone over this way and take a picture of it.
Right. Yep.
To eliminate all these stitches. This is the only place on Google Earth that is like this. Maybe the other pole is. I haven't.
The South Pole. The South Pole is similar to this. Check out the South Pole real quick. It's kind of similar from what I remember. But yeah, I mean, it's obvious that there's something messed up going on with Earth that they're keeping from us for whatever reason.
Absolutely. That the South and North Poles, whatever is there or not there, is where humanity will find like the truth to our existence, our realm, our reality, and most likely our history and origin. Whether it's Atlantis, an ice wall, a hole into the center, a matrix, some aliens, some Nephilim, who knows? But something.
Nephilim. Did you want to talk about the chemical stuff real quick, or?
Heck yeah. That was Elkman, or?
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull up the polar anomalies of planets on my website. I thought I had a presentation on this. I guess I didn't. Sorry.
Right? They're so weird. I know exactly what you're talking about, Hans. It's the strangest stuff.
I swear I did a presentation on this, but I have it on my website. So at some point I'll share this. If you guys are going to share, I can't find where we're at. Where is that? Oh, there we are. All right. Yeah, cool.
I'm just going to go grab a drink before I get into this because I've already lost my voice. But I'll be back in like 2 seconds.
No worries. Hans, are you wanting to bring?
Yeah, let me do this. Screen. Windows. Right, sure. So we got Mercury. Polar anomaly, right? Venus. Bipolar anomaly at the North Pole. Earth. We have both the northern and southern polar anomaly on Earth, and so that's kind of the photo that Google Earth just doesn't want to present because it is a vortex. Mars, same thing. It's like a winter storm constantly at the North Pole. Jupiter, we have this really strange magnetic anomaly that's, I don't even know how to describe this. It's like vortexes inside of vortexes inside of vortexes.
I love the vortex inside of vortex inside of vortex.
Saturn, So you have a hexagonal storm, and inside of it is another hexagonal storm in the opposite direction, and then vortices inside of that, and even the southern pole shows the same anomaly.
The fact that it's 6 planet and it has a hexagon on the poles is
right. It just really it doesn't get more
Well, with that
mysterious
shape,
than
you can also make the male and female triangles out of that
Yeah.
shape.
Interesting. But you also have this other vortices going around the center, which is interesting.
I just don't know how I mean, yeah, I don't know. These pics always concern me.
As does all of us, right? So Uranus, same thing. It's set on an angle that's not the same as the others, but this is the North Pole, so there's a heat signature there. Where are we at? Neptune, same kind of thing. We have this hexagonal vortices on the pole of Neptune, and then yeah, Pluto. I guess I don't have a zoom in on Pluto, but yeah, sorry. Yeah, so Pluto's North Pole also has this weird, vortices of depletions and whatnot. So all the planets that we really know have all of this going on. Their North Poles, including ours, and so that's super fascinating. Thank you, Elkman, for sharing that.
Do you think that this upcoming eclipse has something to do with the pole or anything like that? Like, it feels like there's been some kind of weird aura coming recently with this eclipse coming up. I'm not sure.
Don't know. Yeah, it's hard to tap in. Our sun does so many crazy things daily that we excluded it from, unfortunately, a lot of our environmental programs. It's like the sun is not even included. And so how can we trust anything when we don't know what's going on with the sun? So